Good afternoon, W&J. It is our honor today to celebrate the memory and the legacy of Charles Fremont West. Charlie West, as many of you know, was a W&J grad. He was also a native of Washington, Pennsylvania, and a graduate of Washington High School. He played on our undefeated 1921 team, and in the Rose Bowl in 1922, he was our quarterback. He'd been a running back through the season, and in our game against Pitt, our quarterback was injured, and Charlie stepped in to play. Well, our team played the California Golden Bears that year. We were the smallest team, and remain the smallest team, and probably always will, to play a Rose Bowl. California had outscored its opponents that season 312 to 33. Washington and Jefferson held them to 49 yards and 0 pass completions, and played them to a 0-0 tie, the only tie in the history of the Rose Bowl. Maybe just as significant in history making, Charlie West was the first African American to play quarterback in the Rose Bowl. Charlie West exemplified several things that we believe are W&J at its best. First of all, he represented our athletic program exceedingly well. He was a two-sport athlete and excelled in track and field and football. He was also a tremendously talented scholar. He went on to medical school and had a medical practice for many years in Virginia for the rest of his life. And I think he was exemplary of this college's long-standing commitment to being an inclusive place where, regardless of one's background or race or difference, there's an opportunity to be fully included in this community and to be part of the success of what makes W&J W&J. Well, friends, we are honored today that we have a delegation with us from the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. At this year's Rose Bowl, Charlie West will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And today with us are Brad Ratliff and Leo Kablayan to make a special presentation. Will you please welcome Brad and Leo to W&J. Brad?
Well, thank you, Dr. Knapp, and thank you, Washington and Jefferson, for allowing the Tournament of Roses to acknowledge a great man for his achievements. And as Dr. Knapp said, on January 21st, Charles Pruner West was only one of 11 men to play a heavily favored University of California football team. And those men, under the leadership of Dr. Charles Pruner, played every single down. That game was the only Rose Bowl that finished with a 0-0 tie. And as Dr. Knapp said, Pruner West was the first African American to play quarterback in our game. Certainly quite a feat, given the cultural issues of the 1920s. And his decision to forgo a professional football career to pursue a passion in medicine was sincerely a display of character that later would garner a rare honor by Harry Truman for his commitment to others as a physician in World War II. And now, it's our turn. Each year, the Tournament of Roses president creates a theme that is representative of what he or she believes is his or her passion. And this year, our theme is Making a Difference. And as chair of the Hall of Fame Football Committee, I challenged our members to select individuals that embodied our theme. And I'm sure that you will agree that Dr. Charles Pruner West not only embodies the theme, he is its definition. It is not my responsibility to push for the Pruner Wests of the world to get their recognition. It is not the role of the Tournament of Roses to call out a great football player. It is not the role of a culture to call out a man for his achievements because of the color of his skin. It is the responsibility of a society to lift up a man like Dr. West, to show others that not only can the battle be won on the gridiron, and not only can victory be achieved on the battlefield, but to show others that men, when given the chance, can overcome the most difficult of challenges. Washington and Jefferson gave Charles West that chance to make a difference. No, it is not our role to point out the color of a man's skin, no more than it is our responsibility to criticize the society for its ignorance. But you and I, and the Tournament of Roses, can tell others about the value of men like Dr. West and the lessons he learned on the field. The value in the commitment he had to make a difference in the lives of countless others. Not because he was black, but because he was a caring, compassionate, driven, wonderful man who happened to be black. That's why we are here. This recognition, the Rose Bowl Hall of Fame invitation, is an acknowledgement for what Dr. West did for his teammates on the football field, for his soldier mates on the battlefield, and for all that he did for you and for me. And cautioned by many by taking a black man at Washington and Jefferson, the school accepted Charles West, and because of the actions of a forward-thinking college, many thousands of people benefited from the success of an African-American man. Linda and Michael, thank you for allowing us at the Tournament of Roses and Rose Bowl to recognize your father and your grandfather. Not only because he made an impact on the football field and the battlefield, but because Dr. Charles Pruner West, to countless others, made a difference. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome from our executive committee, Mr. Leo Kablayan, and the daughter and grandson of Dr. Charles West, Linda West Nickens, and Michael West Nickens.
Thank you, Brad. It is my honor on behalf of the Tournament of Roses of Pasadena to recognize Dr. West for his commitment to the spirit and the values of the Tournament of Roses and the Rose Bowl game, and welcome him into the Rose Bowl Hall of Fame.
Good afternoon, all. We humbly thank you, Dr. and Mrs. Knapp and Scott McGinnis, for your gracious hospitality and your tireless efforts in making this award possible for our Charlie. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Ratliff, and Mr. Kablayan, Mr. and Mrs. Kablayan, for traveling this great distance to announce his Rose Bowl Hall of Fame induction to the world. And thank you to the entire W&J community for supporting your scholar athletes. It was 96 years ago when 22 members of the W&J presidents, the coach, the manager, and one stowaway departed Washington, Pennsylvania to play the USC Golden Bears at the Old Tournament Stadium on January 1st, 1922. As the team boarded the train, the only non-white player, my father, Charles Pruner West, was informed that he had to ride in the colored car. I'm told that this was the very first car behind the locomotive, which meant, depending on the fuel, either wood or coal, that passengers were subjected to the smoke, soot, odor, heat, and possible debris emanating from the engine. And was there even a bathroom in the car? Just more examples of the indignities of Jim Crow America. Members of his team got up from their seats in the whites-only cars and moved to the colored car to sit with Charlie so that he would not be alone. He was their teammate and their quarterback for this game. That was the atmosphere at W&J at that time, and to this day, one of inclusion, loyalty, and respect for all human beings. Charlie West's journey was not easy, not just for this trip to the Rose Bowl, but his journey into manhood and all through life. One of the great lessons he taught me, mostly by example, was how to handle the inevitable disappointments that we all face with grace and dignity. For example, he easily qualified for the 1924 U.S. Olympic team and was slated to win the pentathlon, having championed those 5 events in the 1922 and 23 Penn relays. Unfortunately, he endured a hamstring injury in training prior to boarding the ship in Paris. He was then listed as an alternate. He worked out his injury on the boat and was in tip-top shape when they arrived. But because of a mistake in not re-registering him in time, the French officials would not allow him to compete. His father, a man of modest means, had paid his own way to see his son compete in the only great sport competition in the world, the Olympics. A United Press sports editor commented that politics and mistakes weakened the American team. He then cited the West fiasco, and I quote, "Another serious blunder kept Charlie West, one of the greatest all-around athletes in the world, from ever getting into the games. They fought to enter him. They forgot to enter him. At least that's what they said. It was a crime that the boy, he was a colored lad from Washington and Jefferson, did not even get a chance after he had trained for a year and made the long trip. He took it like the perfect sportsman he is and never said a word, although it was apparent that he was heartbroken. A big issue may have been made in the West case, but he pleaded against it, so the case was dropped. Charlie didn't set out to break down racial barriers. He just wanted to play football and run track, both of which he'd done from childhood, running with the farm animals on his father's farm and playing sandlot football in town. But he did, in fact, become a pioneer. Thinking of his own role in integrating athletics in American schools, he said, "I'm very proud to have played a part in shaping the destiny of the black athlete in this country." And we are very proud of you, Charlie. Thank you.